Right to Vote show. Our goal is to inform Groton voters regarding the new charter, which is on the ballot November 6th, and encourage you to vote yes. For this show, we are excited to have people from Groton who are former Charter Revision Commission members, local business owners, former town councilors and RTM members, current RTM members, and residents who are, of course, all taxpayers and voters, to let you know why they support the new charter and why it is important to vote yes on November 6th. I'm Rosanne Kotowski, and I will read my comments and then introduce the next person. Groton taxpayers and voters, please vote yes for the new charter on November 6th. The new charter includes a budget referendum. Finally, the Groton taxpayers will have a voice in how their hard-earned tax dollars are spent. After a 2.4, 8.7, 3.7, and 4.1% tax increases in the last 4 years, a budget referendum as a final step for budget approval is what Groton needs to help control spending. A budget referendum will provide more voter participation and more fiscal accountability. Also included in the new charter is a Board of Finance elected by the voters per district to advise the town council, monitor revenue streams, and assist in the budget process. Another important part of the new charter is that voter participation is required in the development of the budget, which means that Groton voters will be included along with elected officials and town employees in budget development starting in October. Remember, this is required in the new charter. Voters will have a voice. The RTM, which consists of good people but is an antiquated body, in the new charter will be retired and replaced by a budget referendum. Again, voters will have a direct say as to how their tax dollars are spent. Please see the Groton Right to Vote website, grtv2018.org, or the Town of Groton website for more information. The new charter is a win for Groton voters and taxpayers. Please vote yes on November 6th. And our next speaker is Jay Dempsey.
Thank you, Roseanne. I will vote yes on November 6th for the new charter revisions. There are 3 great reasons for my vote. The new charter will allow for a town-wide budget referendum, a separate vote for the town government budget and the education budget that allows all city and town voters to participate. The Groton citizens will be the new check and balance of town spending. Who better to do that than the very same folks who are paying the bills? Some city and town officials are telling you the RTM is a better check and balance. Here's why that's simply not true. The RTM cannot vote on 80% of the town budget. That includes contracts, wages, pensions, and benefits. So the RTM actually has very little control on town spending. In fact, in the last 6 years, the RTM changed the town council budget by less than 0.25%. Secondly, the new charter will require minority representation on the next town council. A minimum of 3 Democrats or 3 Republicans will be elected to the new council. As we've learned in the city, one-party control can be devastating to government finances. Number 3, lastly, the new charter creates a 7-member finance board to advise the council on financial matters ranging from contracts, wages, pensions, benefits, and departmental budgets. That to me is the way to go. We should have a finance board that looks out for the best interests of taxpayer monies, not a part-time RTM. I've been a Groton City resident for 18 years and a 25-year local business owner. I urge all city and town residents to vote yes on November 6th for a better charter and a better future for Groton November 6th. I thank you for watching this presentation. Now I would like to introduce to you former town council member Diane Barber.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, I am Diane Barber. I was a town councilor when the Charter Commission members were selected. During the vetting, there were candidates from all of Groton willing to serve the community. Some for changes and some for not. One candidate was candid during the vetting. She did not want any changes, and that's why she was volunteering. She was chosen as one of the 11 members. At first I thought it odd, someone who did not want change and was volunteering to do this tedious task. Now I understand. I am grateful for her input. This meant every line item in the charter was questioned, debated, and ultimately voted on. It actually gave the charter more weight, in my opinion. There were 97 motions as well as over 150 votes in the 18-plus months they would meet. This, I believe, gives credibility to the changes that have been suggested. This is the reason I will vote for the charter revision as it has been written. There are a total of 169 towns in Connecticut. Only 7 remain with an RTM. None that have a town council and RTM. The Finance Committee will be voted on per district, which means everyone in the city and town will have a voice. The other change which I approve is a minority representation for the town council. The change would be that there would have to be at least 3 councilors for the opposing party. We now have a council of all Democrats, and before that the council was 8 Republicans and 1 Democrat. And now the budget. I truly believe that everyone wants to pay their fair share in taxes for the services we receive and the education for our children. I also believe having a say from the taxpayers would keep the increases to a minimum and hold people accountable. There are public meetings scheduled to educate all taxpayers before voting on the budget for those who would like to educate themselves. I will be voting yes, and I hope you will too. And thank you so much for your time. And next is Carl Peruzzotti. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Carl Peruzzotti. I am a taxpayer, a property owner, and a registered voter in Groton. I grew up here and left for a while, and I returned 15 years ago to a town that I like very much. I've been disappointed that in the 15 years since I've owned my property value has increased about 11%. My taxes, on the other hand, have ballooned by 80%. That's 80. Something seems a little bit amiss to me. As I investigated and began to learn more about the form of government here in Groton, I became more and more curious about the RTM. I came to understand that there is an intermediary step, the RTM, which stands between me, the voter, and the budget approval process. Personally, I don't believe there is anyone more qualified to vote for me than myself. And if you're like me, you probably believe that you are the most qualified person to cast your own vote. I've gotten a lot of questions about the RTM, and I'm certainly no government expert. But I ask 2 questions. Number 1, can you name your RTM rep? Number 2, has your RTM rep contacted you within the last 3 months to gain your input on how they should cast their vote? The answer to these questions for me is no. Not in 15 years. Maybe they couldn't spell my name and got confused. I'm not sure. But if you answer no to either of these questions, then perhaps you should consider voting yes. And that way you can ensure that the person that casts your vote is you. It's your money. You deserve a vote. Thank you. The next speaker is Bill Smith.
Carl, thank you very much. Hi, folks. My name is Bill Smith, and I strongly support the recommended revisions to Groton's charter and urge you to vote yes on these positive changes. The reasons to support these changes are compelling. First, they give you and I a direct voice in the determination of the town's budget. By voting to approve or reject the town's operating budget, as well as the education budget, we have a say on how much we're willing to spend for the services provided. Opponents of this change say The budget's too complex for the average taxpayer to understand. I disagree. A senior has seen her Social Security for the last 3 years has increased 2.3% over the last 3 years. That's total. Compare that to the level of tax increases, which is roughly 15%. Groton residents realize that when the town spends at a rate sharply above wage or income growth, then the tax burden becomes untenable. I believe that if the proposed budget is reasonable and sound, voters will support it. The key is to allow this critical budget topic to go directly to voters for a decision. That's the virtue of direct democracy and voter empowerment. Second, it creates a 7-member Board of Finance that provides a comprehensive and realistic assessment of Groton's economic health, current and future revenue streams, and financial commitments. Historically, the RTM has not looked beyond the upcoming fiscal year in determining the budget. Moreover, the RTM has failed to take into consideration labor union contracts, pension obligations, debt levels, and longer-term debt payback requirements when setting the budgets. I know I was on the RTM during these cycles. Creating a new finance board will provide the opportunity to effectively solicit resident inputs, dig deeply into revenue and expenditure expectations, and working in partnership with the town finance department, develop a financial plan for the future that will inform and guide smart economic decisions. Third, the dissolution of the RTM will require the town council to have majority representation, just like the other 28 towns in Connecticut that have a town council. This, in my opinion, is a good thing for our town, as it ensures a range of opinions and perspectives and forces a more balanced approach essential for good government. As you consider the future of Groton and your ability to shape its future for the people that you care about, I urge you to support the charter changes and vote yes on November the 6th. Thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce you to Bonnie Nault.
Thank you very much, Bill. I was a town councilor when we set up the charter revision, and we gave guidance to the very diverse group on the commission, and we all agreed, all the town councilors, that whatever they came back with, we would send it to the voters to decide. Well, that opportunity wasn't given to the citizens. It was a 5-4 vote against sending it out to the town, and it wasn't until we petitioned to get over 2,000 signatures in very, very cold winter weather and got it to be put on the ballot for all the members of the town to vote. The reason I so strongly support the changes are that the RTM is such a duplication of what we did on town council. There is no other town that has an RTM and a town council form of government in Connecticut. The duplication of presentations by the town manager, the school superintendent, and all the town department heads to present their budget to the council and then do the very same thing again to the RTM is a complete waste of town resources. Their time is valuable, and the hours spent in budget meetings was absolutely incredible. Not only many weeknights, but Saturdays we had meetings. I like the concept of a finance board that is voted in by district that will hopefully do long-range planning of town finances, not just the immediate budget for the next year. This is crucial for long-term planning for our town. I support the 4-year terms, as 2 was just not long enough to understand how the town operates as a town councilor when I was elected. I do wish it was a staggered 4 years. We didn't get everything we would like. All different people had different things on the charter that they wanted, but we did have it narrowed down, and the charter as it is presented is very good, and overall this will be a very big improvement for the way the town operates. The members of the RTM are dedicated citizens that are
have willingly served, but now they can elect to serve on the Finance Commission or many of the boards that we have many openings for. They don't have to stop participating in town government. The very most important reason that that I support this charter revision is that each and every citizen will be able to vote in Groton on the town and the Board of Education budgets. This is our right to directly control the taxes you are charged for services that you either want or don't want, and it gives you this choice. I'm going to be voting yes on November 6th, and I hope you will too. And now I'm going to introduce Kathy Chase.
Thank you, Bonnie. We all get to vote on November 6th. What a privilege and a right. There is so much information out there about the revisions made to the Groton Town Charter. I sat on the Charter Revision Commission. How did I get there? The Town Council at the time requested volunteers to apply for this commission. I applied, went through an interview process, and was accepted. This was my first experience with the politics of Groton. The same Town Council developed a list of existing charter items for the commission to research. One of them was the RTM. The specific instruction was to decrease the number of people on the RTM or eliminate it. With exhausting research, it was decided to eliminate it. A 7-member Board of Finance would be implemented, all voted in by district. That is, 1 member will be from each of the 7 districts in Groton. Their job, among others, would be to scrutinize the budget the Town Council will give them. Will the Board of Finance have as much power as the RTM does now? No. That power goes to you, the voters, where it should be. People are afraid not many citizens will come out and vote. I think they will. We have 41 people on the RTM that votes on the budget. We will get much more than that from each voting district. The money you pay to the town through your taxes is now in your hands. You will have many opportunities, more than you do now, to get involved with the budget process while the budget is being developed. Does it cost money to have a referendum? Yes, it does. But there is a strong possibility that money will be saved through the savings in the budget process because of your vote. Is this a perfect revision? No. But even the Constitution needed amendments. But you have to start somewhere. My hope is that the Board of Finance will be more than just advisory in the future. I encourage everyone to go to the town website to look at the charter changes. Is change scary? Yes, but without change you can't grow. Let's start the change this November and vote yes to the revised charter on November 6th. Thank you. And the next speaker is Bob Frank.
Thank you, Kathy. I support the recommendations of the Groton Charter Revision Commission. When taken all together, the recommendations provide a very balanced approach that recognizes and strategically places the significant roles that citizens, elected leaders, and professional staff contribute to efficient and effective government. The recommendations specifically accomplish the following. Maintains the town council, town manager form of government. The town council sets policies for the town, elected at large, stays at 9 members. Town manager executes policy and runs the town. Virtually no change to the core of our town government. Provides for a transparent annual budget development process, including a formal setting for citizens' input. It puts significant emphasis on budget guidance prior to budget development. It gives resident voters a voice in final budget approval. It provides for a bifurcated budget, one for town, one for education. It provides for a Board of Finance, a standalone elected body to support the town council in financial matters and keep the public informed. Please vote yes on November 6th. And now I'll introduce Jim Nault. Jim?
Thanks, Bob. I'm Jim Nault, and I urge you to vote yes for the new charter on November 6th. I served on the RTM for 2 years. I was on the RTM's Finance Committee both years, and the second year I was the chair of the Finance Committee. I'm supporting the charter revision for 3 reasons. First of all, the RTM is dysfunctional. The reason the RTM is dysfunctional is this. There's over 40 people on the RTM. What that means is, because the budget is broken down into line items, for every line item that comes up, somebody on the RTM has a vested interest in making sure that that line item is not cut. Think about it. Person either is, say, on Parks and Rec, they work for Parks and Rec, so they don't want that item cut, or a family member does, or they have a good friend who works there. So what happens is, for every budget line item that comes up, there's a discussion period. And in that discussion period, somebody, for every line item, gets up and makes an eloquent speech about why that line item can't be cut. Sometimes they have some pretty good arguments. The result, no budget line items ever get cut on the RTM. The RTM is essentially a rubber stamp for the budget that gets handed to them from the town council. And that's why, as Rosanne said, the budget has gone up a lot, and several years ago went up, I think, by roughly 8%. I think that that's unconscionable. The second reason I support the charter is a lot of people talk about what great representation you get out of the RTM. In the 2 years that I was on the RTM, not one person in District 6 where I live called me to talk about the budget. So maybe some people do. I never saw it. The third reason I'm supporting the charter is a budget referendum. You and me and everybody in this town foots the bill. And if the town council comes out with another 8% budget increase, I think the taxpayers of this town have the collective right to put their foot down and say, go back to the drawing board, sharpen your pencils, and do better. And to wrap it up, I'd like to invite Rosanne back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Groton's Right to Vote show. And thank you to our speakers and to SEC TV. To learn more about the new charter, please visit our website, grtv2018.org, or the Town of Groton website. Also, please visit our booth at the Groton Fall Festival on October 6th and join us on October 23rd and October 30th at the Groton Public Library at 7 p.m. for information sessions. Groton voters, please vote yes for the new charter on November 6th.